women are complaining about these things, and men like y'all are saying, well, this doesn't make sense, women aren't being realistic, but they're with men that don't move like y'all do, right? And I think that's really where the disconnect is in having these conversations. There are men who are just like, all right, she got the ring, she's the wife, she's got the title, I don't really have to do anything else to maintain this relationship past this point other than pay the bills and show up at the house at a reasonable hour. There is a vast majority of men that function like that. And I think if we're going to have this conversation about women's complaints in marriages, we also need to talk about those men and not the men that are doing outstanding jobs like y'all are. And I know that there's a reality where sometimes things get difficult and there comes to stages and crossroads, but some people never get to that point because things are already so difficult from the get-go.
Anything that I can do within the house, I do. The weird part about it is that women don't. We have to acknowledge how the phases of marriage. Women don't necessarily want or like the same things they always did. Yeah, she still likes when I tap her ass. In fact, to be honest, she don't respond the same way she used to before we were married. Now she got kids. Now my son also likes to grab on her. Now she's a little less sensitive to touch. And you see what I'm saying? So we got to acknowledge the realities of marriage as well. You see what I'm saying? Where um we isn't it true that marriages that do fail within the first 5 years? That's because children are introduced and people aren't really ready for the emotional roller coaster of everything you cannot do. I don't know how to answer the question, AP, because how could I possibly do what I used to do with a 3 and a 5-year-old? Our hours just fluctuate. A weird air. We going on date night tonight. Your grandma coming. Oh, she can't come no more. Literally, your life just looks different. You have to make it work, and you have to have people that are realistic minded. Like it's usually the man that knows. You just kind of go with the flow. Like, hey, we got to be down right now. I see that women are divorcing because they suffer from their lofty expectations during this period. You expect him to keep him up, and it may just be impossible. That's what I want to speak the truth on that situation. Like, babe, if you're trying to go out 4 nights a week, dog, come on. Like, I knew stuff was gonna change. Do you know the stuff your wife used to do to you before you got married? That woman tired now, bro. Literally, she tired now. She ain't that person. She can't be unless I take her on a vacation for a week, let her sleep the first 3 days of the vacation,
Well,
right?
see, I'm just
So
playing devil's advocate a little bit, and this is because I kind of think it was a bit of a softball because I know life changes, right?
yeah,
But but isn't it our job to set everything in motion to take her on? Maybe you're not taking her on 4 dates a week. Maybe you're taking her on two because you did set. I'm not saying you. I'm saying men.
yeah,
You did set something at the very beginning of the relationship, and women will carry that expectation. And I like what you said, Marcus, about the we got to have this real conversation now. But um, isn't it your job to provide that for her still? If that is something that you did, is it unreasonable for her to expect you to continue to do it, which means you must provide the space in order for those things to happen?
it is
I'm just
absolutely
I'm
not
just playing
unreasonable.
devil's advocate here.
No, no, it's a great question because I think it needs to be answered directly. What we're what we have in society now is people listening to like dating coaches and people being like, he's supposed to keep the same. It's impossible.
Hmm.
I'm trying to tell people the realness of a relationship. I'm here. When I say for better or for worse, it's not actually worse. Like inconsistency is part of the worst. Did anybody plan for how clingy a 2, a 3, and a 5-year-old were going to be to you as you advanced in your career?
Mm,
Did we speak about that? I work more hours now. I was just an instructor then. I'm a director now.
I
I
get
have
it.
other people's work to read.
So
But yeah,
Trey,
yeah, go ahead.
if I was doing what you were doing and just going extra hard and working, I would 100% agree with you. I I saw this stuff coming and I pulled back. I think I talked about this before when I was saying
Mhm.
I was prioritizing my family over profit, and
Yeah,
that's probably why I sound like nah, shit kind of got better. I ain't gonna hold you, but
yeah.
it's
But
because
the average man,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
The
I
average
completely
man.
get you right now.
So
I
I
completely.
think the people that make it through these times are the people that are ultra realistic and willing to adapt to the changes in their relationship more gracefully than others. I'm
Mhm.
telling you right now, me and my wife have almost daily conversations about future stuff. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, I can't wait until until grandma, her stepmother, comes back to Texas, right? Because she says she's taking them for a week. It's like we have that to look forward to. We talk about it every day because when those kids go, then we can enjoy ourselves like we used to. But the reality of the situation is that we cannot until we get that type of
So
help.
I just want to jump in here, because I love that Trigger Mike and Marcus shared their perspectives. I'm going to speak from mine as a woman. I'm at that age where, a group of people are getting married, a group of people have been married, and a group of people are on to their second marriages. I'm just at that category where everything's kind of intersecting. And I have to give kudos where kudos is earned. From hearing Trigger Mike and Marcus talk about their wives, I have to say that y'all are not the norm. Y'all really are the exceptions. And I say that knowing that the women who are on to their second marriages, or the women who are fulfilled in their marriages, I'm not going to say happy, I'm going to say fulfilled in their marriages, their husbands move the way y'all move. They are realistic. They communicate what it is that they're capable of being consistent with, and what is, a one off. However, the women who are in unfulfilling marriages, or have chosen not to get remarried, or are in situations where they choose not to get married, choose, right? However you want to take that, they typically find men who don't move the way y'all do. And I think that really is where women are complaining about these things, and men like y'all are saying, well, this doesn't make sense, women aren't being realistic, but they're with men that don't move like y'all do, right? And I think that's really where the disconnect is in having these conversations. There are men who are just like, all right, she got the ring, she's the wife, she's got the title, I don't really have to do anything else to maintain this relationship past this point, other than pay the bills and show up at the house at a reasonable hour. There is a vast majority of men that function like that. And I think if we're going to have this conversation about women's complaints in marriages, we also need to talk about those men, and not the men that are doing outstanding jobs like y'all are. And I know that there's a reality where sometimes things get difficult and there comes to stages and crossroads, but some people never get to that point because things are already so difficult from the get-go.
I
How
appreciate
about
that.
you, Miss Taken? Because you too are married. What were some of the changes and what were some of the conversations like that you and your husband had to have in order for you guys to continue to be successfully married?
Well, I do think I think both of us, and I have to be honest, I think he did had more of a realistic view of what marriage was going to be versus me. Um, and I think because of that, when I kind of went off, he was able to kind of bring it down. Like when stuff went wrong, to me, everything was a 10. Like this, everything needed to be perfect in my mind of what I was told or taught what a wife should be. I was trying to live up to that expectation and felt very insecure at my ability to be able to do it all, right? And that was me. He never necessarily required all of those things, but in my mind I thought I had to. And so because of that, I felt very unfulfilled because I felt like I'm doing all of these things and he's not. He's not doing anything. And that was just me projecting on him. And I think once I came to the understanding of like, well, he's not even asking me to do this and I'm doing it. Um, and in some sense, I'll say he gave me permission to not do that because it's like I didn't require it. Once I got that understanding, I think I became much more happier myself within my marriage. I was looking to him to make me happy. And not saying that he didn't do things to make me happy, but that happiness had to come from me. I was putting so much pressure on myself about what marriage was supposed to be like, which didn't really line up with reality of what marriage was. And I think now that we're, almost 20 years in, and now we're at that stage that I I can't remember if Trish or Mike was saying it or Marcus about when the kids leave. So we're at that stage in our marriage. And I can say this level of where we're at has became so much more deeper than it was in the beginning. Because in the beginning, you're young, you're new, you have kids, the kids become the focus. Everybody's on the same page with making sure the kids are right. Now the kids are gone, and now we're left with each other, and the deeper conversations are being had because now I don't know if we have less life ahead of us, than behind us, but we're at the stage where we've known each other more than half of our lives. And so that 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 push is totally different. So now questions are about, are like, we do check-ins with each other, like really asking, are we okay? Because before we didn't, and I'm holding on to stuff and I didn't know he's holding on to stuff, then something happens and then everything comes out all at once and you're like, man, you never said anything. So that making sure that we stay connected, spending time with each other, like our date nights look different even though we don't have kids here in the house. The appreciation of our date night is just spending time with each other, watching movies, or in a hot tub, just things like that, that we make sure that is that connection is there.
Hot
So
tub, watch out
yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, once the kids left, listen.